Shanae is back. So now the Eastern Conference Finals, that is now set. You've got the Cavs and you've got the Knicks, game one at the Garden. Let's just start there with the matchup. How do these two teams match up against each other?
Briscoe, I need you to take the energy up because this is lit. We've got two teams that are playing really great basketball in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Knicks and the Cavs. And guess what, sis? The matchups are amazing. I think that the first 40 minutes are going to be dictated by the paint. I love this paint matchup between Karl Anthony Towns taking on Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen. Cat, we've seen in the postseason, he's already had multiple triple doubles. They've sort of revitalized how you view Karl Anthony Towns because before we thought, oh, he's a three-point shooter, I'm the best proclaimed, shooting big man, but then he's been able to have passing games similar to the Cleveland Cavalier front court. Those two have equally been dynamic as a tandem. Mobley off the dribble, Allen with force and authority, and I love how they were talking about, I think it was Coach Kenny Atkinson, saying, hey, he's our X factor, even though we thought it was Mobley. So if you think about the paint, the first 40 minutes, I think will be dictated there. If Cat's passing can really dictate, or will it be the other side? But lastly, I'll say this. The final 8 minutes, the closing time, the winning time, my goodness, we might have a shootout between Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson, a former Clutch Player of the Year. We all know he can close a game. He can do bad by himself as well. But more importantly, we've seen the best also of Donovan Mitchell. This man had a 39, I believe, points second half. So anytime he goes on a heat check, it can be lethal. So whether it's the paint or the perimeter, this one to me will probably go the distance and we'll see 7 games.
Okay.
Because Donovan Mitchell, he's been special, Nicole. He's been special. And they've been waiting for a moment where he's able to capitalize. Nicole, I feel like this is the best we've ever seen him, the best version of him as a leader.
It's also the best we've seen of the Knicks, but there's a massive difference because the Cavs have been tested. And a little bit like we heard that question posed to the Pistons, like, did you guys just run out of gas? At this point, the Cavs have been far more tested than the Knicks have been. How is that going to come into play?
Oh, I would rather be the team that's fresh. I think New York Knicks.
Yes.
Look, I don't like making picks or selections, right? I call them manifestations. And it's been 50-something years since they've won a championship. I think this is New York's year. And I don't want to freak anybody out in New York. But no one is playing better basketball with all of their key pieces than the New York Knicks. And sometimes we forget because we haven't seen them on the floor in a moment. But they have looked sensational. The changes, the defense, the engagement, and also the depth that they have is something so different. And so when you talk about being tested comes with playing extended amount of minutes, an extended amount of games, and a quicker turnaround because game one is going to be on Tuesday, I believe, in 48 hours, where the Knicks are sitting at home with their notepad, plotting and scheming. Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby being available. The depth that they have, to me, is going to help them very much to hopefully potentially get to the NBA Finals.
It is Tuesday, by the way. Tuesday, 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN.
Yep, you got to take it. Yeah, no, he told me. I didn't read it. He told me I got them in 7. So I didn't read it. I don't read him.
Hey, Kenny. You said before the game that you just needed Donovan Mitchell to beat Donovan Mitchell tonight. In what way do you feel like that manifested itself?
He was better than Donovan Mitchell. Is that possible? I don't know if I can. That's like bad English. He started with him, his defense, rebounding, and then when he gets in the paint and starts making other people better, the dish offs to our big guys. That was the key, I felt like, to the game. So he had complete control of the game. Listen, man, I couldn't be happier for him. To make that next step. He's going home, to New York. He kept this thing together this year when things weren't going great. He was the beacon, the light. His leadership, he carried us on the court, right? Sam Merrill out 30 games, Evan out, J.A. out. He was the guy that carried us. And then when things weren't going great, he was the person everyone looked to. And his positivity. And I would have said this if we lost. I had a plan. If we lost, I was going to say the same thing. We could have splintered. If your leader splintered, if he goes in another direction, which he very well could have, things weren't going great, but he stayed positive. He supported the young guys. He never got down on the group. So just, kind of more kudos to him, in terms of getting to that, the level he wanted to get to, and I know he wants more.
Game 7 on the road, given all the pressure and all the stakes, what does a performance like this show about this group?
When we play with force, it's really the key. Like force on both ends. With our talent, we're really hard to beat. What we got to answer, the question we got to answer, and we talked about in the locker room is, we can have forced letdowns, like Game 6, where we were not the forceful team, but tonight we were. That was the whole difference, our force on both ends.
Kenny, understanding that this group has larger goals than just winning this game and advancing to the conference finals, this is a place that this group has not yet been. What does this accomplishment mean to you and to this group?
It's like, and everybody says, it doesn't mean it. No, it does mean something. I think it does. I think this was just the next step for us. First day of training camp, I put up our playoff record over the last 3 years, 11-15. I've been saying all year we have a lot to prove. And we still have more to prove. That's kind of the next part of it. But we proved something to ourselves that we could take that another step. Just looking forward to this next challenge for us.
What is it with Jared Allen in Game 7s?
I don't know. I had dinner with Dan Gilbert last night. He came over to our hotel, and he goes, who the key to this whole thing is? I was thinking Harden, Mitch. He goes, the key to this whole thing, the spark of this is Jared Allen. I said, really? And that sparked me to run the first play for him. Like, man, have I been, sometimes you have, people who observe from afar, plus Dan knows the team well and knows these guys. It was really, I was like, man, I went to my room. I'm like, man, I'm going to run the first play for him, which I think got blown up with. But anyway, I'm like, man, we got to, and in our film session, we had to reward the big. Sometimes you have to be reminded. And that was great by Dan. He hit it on the head. He was prophetic.
Just felt like from the first quarter, you guys, to your word, like play with force. Mitchell was sort of distributing the ball. Just like what do you think led to that? Why do you think that you guys just kind of came out sort of hitting first from the jump?
You said it, Mitchell distributing the ball. I think that was a big part of it. Listen, I can't say I predicted that we were going to do that. Like Game 7, their arena, the crowd was, and it was across the board, right? I think we knew that start was monumental. The start that they knew that we were here, and that we were going to give them some problems, and we talked about it today. We talked about it in our film session. At the beginning of the game, that was key. And then coming out of halftime is the same, same message. We got to win this first 5 minutes, to put them on their heels.
Janae's still holding us down here on SportsCenter. I know you want to get into the big talk because Kenny Atkinson showed so much love to the bigs, and I respect that. But I do want to lock in on the backcourt specifically. How are we able to get more out of Donovan Mitchell with him doing less ostensibly with the addition of James Harden?
Just look at this game as one game sample size, and that's your answer. Because what Coach Kenny just highlighted was his team, but most importantly, his superstar meeting the moment. Donovan Mitchell these are his words, was better than Donovan Mitchell. And Don is a good player. He's a great player. He's an elite player. And I feel like all the quote unquote, respectfully, haters and all the detractors are going to be a little bit quieter tonight. Because Don, he finally got over the hump. The hump being he's finally made a conference finals. He has yet to do so until now. And so that's impressive. But to me, one thing I love that he highlighted was not just his scoring, which was 26 points. It was the team play led by Don. Don had 8 assists. The first thing I look at in a box score to see how connected a team is assists to field goals made. They had 31 assists, the Cleveland Cavaliers, to 43 field goals made. That is beautiful basketball led